Hawks lose to the Blue Jackets 6-3 at the United Center, but Connor Bedard scored? We'll talk about it next on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame podcast. Hawks lose 6-3 to Columbus. The Ass Jackets no more. They're a pretty good team. I'm Jay Zawoski. That's Mario Tirabassi. Greg Boysen's going to join us after postgame duties. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you jumping on your Sunday afternoon. Do us a favor. Hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. If you're catching up on the podcast, thank you. Make sure you are following, subscribed, all that good stuff, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And I did the cold open mentioning how Connor Bedard scored.
He did.
Is this where we're at already in the season where it's just like, well, how did Bedard do? And that's kind of how you look at things?
Yeah, I mean, that was a bright spot. Started the game quickly. Bedard got the goal, and you felt good. You're like, hey, early power play. You take advantage of it. Bedard clearly is feeling a little bit more offensively dangerous again. The goal scoring seems like it's opened back up, which is great. But then it's just we'll talk about it. The Blackhawks had no structure following goals in today's game. Like they completely lost sight of the game for a minute, 2 minutes after each goal.
We don't have to wait. It's the story of the game.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it costs them, and then it sinks them. You get 3 power play goals. Which when's the last time that happened? And then it's just sloppy game. Couldn't string passes. Losing your structure, it's gonna kill you. Even if it is the Blue Jackets, who are supposed to be not that much better than the Blackhawks. They're playing way better. Well, you can't do that against
the Jackets. Are what I expected the Hawks to look like this year. And let's hold that thought. Just so to get to the main story of the game is the Hawks scoring and then giving up goals immediately afterwards. They score, give up a goal 126 later. They score, give up a goal 150 later. They score and give up a goal 244 later. So anytime they've established themselves as like feeling pretty good, momentum's going their way, it's immediately gone. Immediately gone. And I don't know if it's a mindset or what, but like, is it a letdown after they score? Like, oh, right, we did it. Great job. High fives all around, everybody. Let's just now calm down and take this next shift off.
Well, I mean,
it's happening time after time after time against Minnesota. They gave up. Now, it wasn't after their goals. They gave 2 Minnesota goals in what, like 20 seconds or something?
17 seconds.
17, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. I forgot that.
Right.
It's just,
yeah,
man.
It's not to discredit Columbus's effort tonight. They were the better team. Yeah. No question about that. So their push after giving up a goal is what you want your team to do.
Yes.
And so it is about the Blackhawks not only wanting to continue to push after you score, but being able to sustain that. And, for this team to counterpunch by staying on the offensive when you get a goal is their best route of going about it. The problem is they don't, when you're playing as sloppy as they were tonight, where passes weren't connecting, they were either fumbled or to nobody. That's going to derail any momentum you try and generate. So yeah, I mean it's really hard to play yourselves out of that funk when everyone is playing that way. Even Bedard tonight, who was their best offensive driver, scored the goal, got an assist as well. He was turning over pucks and deferring on a 2-on-1 to Philip Kurashev, which was just like really frustrating to see. It's just I don't want to say we're jumping right back into the make a trade, make a call up, fire Luke Richardson stuff, but it's just a game like this is very frustrating because a lot of the mistakes are not first time mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, look, Luke Richardson should not have to tell Taylor Hall to not throw a blind backhand pass into traffic
right
at least 4 times in this game. Luke Richardson is not telling Teuvo Teravainen to peel off on a 2-on-1 and backhand the pass.
The
to
game
nobody.
plan is not turn the puck over.
It's not your most veteran and should be trusted forwards playing like they've never played hockey before. And I was having a conversation during the first intermission with somebody, and I said, like, Taylor Hall is driving me insane today. Maybe he's too confident after that goal the other night. Like, lose some confidence and keep it simple. There's a moment in the second period where Taylor Hall is on the left wing boards, and he passes it at the feet of Bedard, who has 2 Blue Jackets around him. There's nothing is going to come of that. Even if it gets to Bedard, he can't get a shot off. So, I don't know. It's like we've talked about the coaching thing. It is the main topic after every loss. We're not going to do that show again. We've all made our points clear that if they want to fire Luke, I don't think we would bat much of an eye, but it doesn't feel like it's going to happen, so it's kind of wasted breath at this point. But the other parts of call somebody up or make a trade, those are valid. Those are valid things because I saw some people before we even went on the show today talking about how slow this team looks. And if it's not Lucas Reichel with the puck or it's not Bedard with the puck, and to an extent sometimes Taylor Hall, guys are getting caught from behind. Craig Smith is one of the faster skaters on this team.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That can't be. That can't be the case.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why you look at the Ice Hogs roster. You look at how Davidson has drafted in the last few years. Speed has been a premium. It's hard to find guys who are really fast and also really skilled in trades and free agency because those guys cost you a lot. And Kyle Davidson didn't really, within the rebuilding plan, had to, you sacrifice some of those guys because they weren't the guys that in the moment were going to get you over the hump of where they want to go with this organization. So you draft guys that are like that, but you don't have guys that you can get like that. You got Ilya Mikheyev, who's really fast.
Fast, no finish.
You got Andreas Athanasiou, who I know was down in Rockford and then got hurt. Same thing. Very fast. Not a lot of ability for his hands to keep up with his feet. It's just how this when you have the third oldest team in the league, you're going to sacrifice on some speed. And I see some people in the chat saying, "Well, Connor Bedard needs to get faster." And it's just like he's not a speed demon. He can continue to work on his lower body strength and his speed and his footwork, but that's also not necessarily what made him the highly touted generational prospect. It was his vision on the ice, his playmaking ability, and his shot. And I think that's still what can make him the difference maker. You just need guys that can match the speed and the skill around him to do that. And even though this roster is improved from last year, Bedard's rookie year, they still don't have enough of that. And there's not really a fix for that unless you make a big trade, which I don't know. I don't trust that they're going to do that because at this point, what are you doing it for? This team is who it is.
I mean,
like
the easiest thing is to make a call up. And
yeah, that
honestly, I don't know what more you need to see from Nazar. I know there's things defensively, but like
this
isn't
team
the point of having the oldest team in hockey that
Yeah.
you got enough defense to make up for the kids' mistakes? Like, I don't know. We can beat this topic into the ground, and we should because it's a big story. By the way, if you want to vote for the 4-star of the game, please do. The 3 stars tonight, Zach Werenski, 2 assists plus 3. Man, is he good. He is such a good player.
Pretty darn good.
The number 2 star, Connor Bedard, a goal and assist. He was a -4 in this one.
That's what happens when your points are all on the power play.
Yes, and Sean Monahan with a goal and an assist. By the way, little note about Connor Bedard from the faceoff dot today. 42%, won 5, lost 7. So right there, almost 50%. One of his better games of the year at the dot.
Better than his season average.
Significantly better.
28%. So that's an improvement.
So yeah, and what's real frustrating about this one is like, it didn't feel like they were outmatched. It didn't feel like that Columbus was taking it to them. I feel like so many of the Hawks' mistakes were self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Like turnovers and blind passes and lack of shooting. And look, the Corsi numbers look bad. It's 57 to 42%. Actually 57 to 43% advantage for Columbus in this one. 47 shot attempts for Columbus, 35 for the Hawks. But like, it didn't feel that way. At 5-on-5, it was kind of back and forth. But man, it just felt like so many of the Blackhawks goals against were direct results of bad decisions in the offensive zone.
Yeah. I think if this team today was stringing together passes, even half of them, on the tape, not at feet, not blind passes to nobody, not turning pucks over at their own blue line, which happened a few times. Like if you erase some of that, this game's closer. But it still is. It's tough because you love to see that they got 3 power play goals. They took advantage of taking power plays, but to be truly successful in the NHL, you have to produce at 5-on-5, and this team has a real tough time doing that. So, I mean, they weren't vastly outmatched player for player, but they, like you said, like their turnovers and their giveaways killed them today.
And they're all, not all, but the vast majority of them feel like they're in the offensive zone, where you've got something going and you've got like a play happening, and just, boy, the one today that killed me was the 2 from Tavo. Like that one with the 2-on-1 where he just stops and then spins to his backhand and throws a drop pass. Just when you're struggling to score personally and as a team, just fire it on net.
Yeah.
Mrázek was fighting the puck early. Every time the Hawks got a puck on goal, he seemed to lose it. He got better as the game went on, but at no point through the 60 minutes did I feel like Mrázek was like dialed in.
Yeah.
And go to school on that. I think Columbus saw it today. They were shooting high glove on Mrázek all day. Mm-hmm. All day, and they know that's, if there's a weak spot in his game, despite that insane glove save today, which hat tip to Petr Mrázek for that. That's where his weak spot, and they went to school and just, hey, there's an opportunity to shoot it there, shoot it there. They were doing it all day.
Yep.
And that's it. Like, react to the game that is happening, right? Oh man, he's really fighting the puck. Let's not be so cute tonight. Let's really, really get the puck on goal, which would be the freaking mentality every night. But especially when you see a goalie getting handcuffed and losing his feet. There were 2 or 3 probably premature whistles in this game where Mrázek kind of lost it at his feet, and the ref just lost sight of it. Like, that's, as the game goes on, adapt. And I can't see the chat at the moment, but I'm assuming people are screaming, that's coaching, and it's hard to disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean that is a coaching on the fly kind of recognition that needs to be made for sure. That's got to be something that is a point of, hey, like, recognize that, and players can see it. That's one thing, but if you want to drill it in from the head coach, from the assistant coaches on there, and they have the iPads on the bench, and they can say, hey, like, he's, see how this rebound came off, and see how this shot, where you had, space, where you had a rebound, where you had someone maybe looking for a shot off the pad or something like that. Like, it's recognizing that and being able to point that out after the fact, so that the next time you go out there, the next time you have that opportunity, you make the most of it, and you don't do the same thing and either pass up a scoring opportunity or think too much and turn the puck over. Like, keeping it simple and shooting, following your shot, getting to the front of the net for rebounds. That's got to be ingrained in this team.
All right, more to come after the break zone here. We're going to probably hear from some players. I know Nick Foligno and Alex Vlasic spoke. I'd like to hear what those guys had to say after this one. So stick around, hit that like button for us. We'll be back in a moment here on CHGO Blackhawks. But with Empire today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire today is the best place to get new flooring. Don't go with their copycats. Go with the real deal, because Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, or speed. They are obsessed with finding you the best floors. They're not going to carry junk. It's all going to be high quality. Shopping for floors at a big box store can be frustrating. Trust the experts at Empire today. And if you can't decide exactly which floors to go with, they've got a great virtual floor designer. You can see how those floors are going to look in your new space. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 discount when they use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details.
And hey, if you watched the game today, you were watching on CHSN, and we are sponsored by the Chicago Sports Network, the new home of the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox games. CHSN is broadcasting more than 300 live games per year across the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, and features a full lineup of original Chicago-focused content. They are Chicago-based, Chicago-built, and Chicago to the core, and they're bringing it to every corner of Chicago across Chicago's 77 neighborhoods and beyond. At CHSN, Chicago comes first. Visit chsn.com for more info on how to watch Bulls, Hawks, and Sox games live all season long.
All right, do that. And we got some super chats we got to hit here, as we always do after the first break zone. That's how we reward you for your patience through the break zone, because that's how we pay the bills. The break zone. We need that. That's an important thing.
Part of it.
So we got any super chats to get to here, Nate? Let's see here. We got one from James who says, why did they pull the goalie on the icing with 4:30 left?
They had probably just you're down 2 at that point.
Yeah.
You trying to find an advantage. I don't hate the idea of trying to be aggressive. This team is usually only down 1 at that point, so you keep the
small
goalie,
victories.
You keep the goalie in and try and hold off on having to pull that move until later in the game. But you're down 2, so you gotta try and get aggressive. So,
and KRCHI Sports says, I'm definitely okay with the top 3 pick they needed. Yeah, that might be where you're where things are headed here for the Hawks. Because they're at or near the bottom of the league today.
No team doesn't need a top 3 pick.
Yeah, I think everyone will be happy with that.
But yeah, I mean, it's clearly trending in the direction that they are going to test that winning the lottery twice in a 5-year span rule for the NHL draft lottery here, because I'm seeing really no indication that there's going to be consistent improvement from this team to get out of this spot, to get out of not only to get out of the bottom 3, but to get anywhere near where we thought they'd be. I know we talked about how at the beginning of the season, if you squint really hard, maybe they could make you believe into February or whatever, but you're not seeing that. And before the season, we all kind of said they'd be maybe in the low to mid 70s in points. They're not on that trajectory either. So it's looking as if this is definitely going to be a team that is going to be in that bottom 3, bottom 5, and no indication that they're not going to be maybe even the worst team in the league at this point, because the other teams down there, Montreal, Nashville, at least I'd say from an outsider perspective, there's some teams there that are underperforming, but have some belief that they can be better. I don't know where we're 24. This is game 24. They've all looked very similar.
Yeah.
Aside from maybe 3 or 4 games.
I mean, even the wins look similar.
Yeah. Aside from 3 or 4 games where you're oh, maybe this will turn the corner for them. They come back down to who they are and what the reality is of this team.
All right, let's hear from Alex Vlasic after this game. He was almost a nominee for a 4-star. He was really aggressive shooting the puck today, and I like that. 6 shots on goal, 7 shot attempts. He did have an assist, was a -2, but had a very small blue line. So, All right, let's hear from Alex Vlasic.
All right, Alex, what do you guys have to do differently a few shifts after a goal to prevent these kind of answers?
I think just play simple. I think we got to play a little bit more direct. I feel like sometimes there's a little bit of disconnect between players and lines or whatever it may be. I think we just got to work to know that it's just going to be the first pass you see. It's going to be the simple play until we can kind of get in the offensive zone and then maybe get teamed around a bit.
What were they doing that was challenging to cover, I guess, in the defensive zone?
They play pretty physical. I think that's something that they've had success with. They've got some big guys on their team, and they've also got some skilled players. So I think a combination of both, and you find yourself kind of getting stapled to the glass, and their skilled guys kind of take over from there.
Is it particularly disappointing because it was a great night for the power play?
Sure, it's a good thing, I guess, but it doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, we've been feeling good about it, but still losing games, so it doesn't really help.
That move that Connor had, even though he didn't score in the second period, does that just show? Have you seen him just feeling more confident and showing that out there?
Yeah, I think the last 2 games, Minnesota and this one, he's looked really good. He's moving his feet and skating. I think that's something he's getting better at, and yeah, he's obviously got the hands and the vision. So I think it's just a matter of time before. He's started to do really well these last couple of games, so we'll keep going.
I think you had 6 shots on goal tonight. Have you been making more of a conscious effort to shoot more?
Yeah, I think on the power play, it's for me that's a big aspect of why I'm there. I think just kind of keeping it simple and getting pucks to the net, and had a number of good looks. I think I got to do a better job of scoring. I think on that partial breakaway, I might have been able to tuck that one in if I kind of just take it to my forehand instead of shooting on my back end. So I'm just trying to contribute offensively since we've been struggling a little bit.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
All right, there's Alex Vlasic with the daily reminder to keep things simple and play straightforward and do the same things they've said after pretty much every game this season.
I don't know.
Nothing against him, but it's just the same message every night.
No, it's not. Yeah, I don't know how many times these guys need to say they need to play simpler. They need to play a more direct game, and then go out and not do it. I don't know if it's Luke Richardson's not telling them to, hey, go out and be fancy dancy and Globetrotters on ice and play east-west. Like, he's telling them to shoot.
Sure.
He's telling them to play north and south. He's telling them to play simple, go for rebounds. Like, that is what he is telling them to do. That's what he tells us in the media that he tells them to do. That's what the players say that they need to do after losses in which they don't do it. And I don't understand this team playing as if they are more special than they are. They're not. You're not a special team. You guys are not talented enough to play that way. String 3, 4, 5 wins in a row where you're scoring 3 or 4 or 5 goals in a game. Sure, then you can start to take some liberties. Then you can start to take a little bit more offensive chances because you have something of momentum building, something of like stringing good play together will breed confidence. But you got to start somewhere. You got to start simple, and they can't even start simple. They can't string good periods together, let alone good games together. So this team is not special. You can't play a special brand of hockey. You have to play the most boring, simple brand of hockey, because once you get that down, then you can go on to step 2, where you can do some no-look passes and some backhand stuff, aside from being Connor Bedard, who's trying to do that with unspecial teammates.
Well, what's frustrating about it, too, is it's not as if when they keep it simple, they're not getting results. Like, I could see that if you were trying to do that and just, like, couldn't score and you were getting nothing, and you're like, well, F it, I have to try to do something fancier. When they play that way, they play well. When they play that way, I would, despite their awful record, I would say they win more than they lose. When they play 60%, 70% of the game, simple, as we've seen them do against the teams they've beaten this year. I could rattle off the list again. I've actually thrown it in to my Google Doc. Edmonton, San Jose, Colorado, LA, Anaheim, Minnesota, Florida, and Dallas. Those are their wins this year. Yep. And when they play again that way, they can come out on top. They're good enough to come out on top. So it's like, dudes, you're watching the games. You're watching the film breakdowns at the end. You're seeing the things you're doing that are leading to success. And you said, like, this Luke Richardson's not coaching them to go east and west. There's not a single coach in the NHL that's telling their team to go east and west.
Right, yeah.
Nobody plays that way. Nobody. We're going to see Toronto tomorrow night. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to rush the zone. They're going to come with speed. They're going to get guys in front. And they're going to get pucks on net. And then you're going to have Austin Matthews.
He's back.
Roof one, right? Because he's got a great shot. But it's going to work because you've got traffic in front. And it is such a freaking simple game. And I'm so tired of game after game after game after game of these players being like, yeah, I think next time we should just really simplify it. Yeah. Yes, you should.
It's a good idea.
Everyone's been saying it all freaking year.
Yeah.
Again, the results are there when you do it.
Right. What did the terminology PD use when we had him on talking about the win against Minnesota? That they at home they played a good road game.
Yeah, play a good road game.
Because
exactly.
And he said because when you're playing on the road, you're just trying to get in and get out and get a good result. You're not trying to do anything fancy for the home crowd. Have that mentality the rest of the way out. Don't try to impress anybody at the UC with any fancy moves or any fancy plays, because what this fan base wants to see is results. Like, yeah, Connor Bedard highlights, any Lucas Reichel highlights, like that's all good and wonderful, and those will probably come if you play the simple way first.
Yeah.
But people will show up for a winning team. People will get excited for a winning team. Even if you're not the most exciting on the ice, winning is always fun. So play the brand of hockey that wins.
The crowd cheered just as loud for Craig Smith's redirected goal in front than they did for Connor Bedard's snipe the other night.
Yeah.
Like, goals are exciting. They don't have to be bottle-popping, spinorama goals. Like, I don't know.
And you talk about the way that teams have to play in the postseason because everything clamps down, and how many times are there postseason bar-down snipes? Like, few and far between, except from the elite teams. Most postseason goals are redirects, rebounds, dirty goals, like in tight. Like, play that way. Even if you're a team that's not going to the postseason, if you play that way, you can be effective.
Let's revisit 17 seconds.
Yeah.
The first goal in that 17-second sequence, Jonathan Toews has the puck at the side of the net. Bickle comes crashing in right in front, and Toews feeds him, puts it in net. 17 seconds later, Johnny Oduya shoots the puck a little bit wide. Dave Bolland is right there in front and tucks home a rebound.
Takes a bounce.
Neither goal was pretty. Neither goal was fancy. How about Patrick Kane's Stanley Cup clinching goal in 2010? Walks around, dekes Kimmo Timonen, takes a look. Nothing here. Might as well throw it in net. The Hawks win the Stanley Cup. It's how rare is it? Marian Hossa, Nashville Game 5. Shot on goal from Brent Sopel. Comes right to Hossa. He pokes it in. That is how goals are scored. It's how it's done.
Yeah.
Yes, Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews, a heartbreaker. 2-on-1, great pass, one-timer.
It's two Hall of Famers on a 2-on-1.
Exactly. And it's a 2-on-1.
It's a lot different. Yeah, it's a 2-on-1.
And if it was Jonathan Toews and Marcus Kruger, Jonathan Toews would not have passed to Marcus Kruger. He would have shot the effing puck, Connor.
I believe he would.
Don't get it to Philip Kurashev, who's going to fumble it and fall down.
Yeah.
Yikes. All right, I'm good. You good?
Break zone.
Remember 17 seconds? Let's live in that time. That was fun.
That was nice. 11 years ago. Ugh.
Oh, good Lord. What a kick in the nuts.
Jeez.
Speaking of kicking the nuts, Greg Boysen's going to join us next. I don't know. That doesn't even make sense. We love talking to Greg. He is standing by, but we got to hit the break zone first on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. But hey, if you're as fired up as I am, you might want to hit up your local Sunnyside. Your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors can explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality cannabis products. They've got everything you need to elevate your freezing cold nights here in Chicago. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary, because they're awesome, and they've got locations in the city and the suburbs, easy to find. And And if you're just starting out, Sunnyside is the place to go with brands they know you'll love, like my two personal favorites, oddly enough, Good News and Mindy's. I guess I'm just starting out. Available now is their Good News limited time Island Vibes, available in disposable vapes, 510 carts, and live resin gummies. It is awesome. I've got one. It worked very well at the Bob Weir concert, and I'm sure it will work well for you. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois MedCard holders.
And hey, did you know, Jay, that ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient?
Wait, I forgot. I got to find the ad copy.
You mean,
I did not know ComEd.
What do you mean
did
ad copy? This is an organic conversation. Well, if you didn't know, now you know. The Energy Efficiency Program can help find up to 35% in energy savings for businesses.
Truly, people should know this by now. But what do businesses need to do, Mario, as a reminder?
All they got to do is sign up for a free facility assessment at comed.com/biz.
Well, the website is certainly easy enough. Comed.com/biz. Comed.com/biz.
Comed.com/biz. Yeah,
yes,
write it down. Put on a little sticky note. Put it on your mirror there so you'll never forget. That should
hashtag never forget.
That should definitely do it. Yeah. .biz. Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customers' energy usage and rate. And the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law.
By the way, before we get to Greg, we need more likes, first of all. We have under 100 likes and over 200 some people watching. That doesn't make sense. Hit that like button. And we've got a sale going on right now. It's store.allcitynetwork.com. It's our Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. 30% off everything in store, up to 75% off everything else. Jump in there, get some CHGO Blackhawks merch. I'm told the guy who was in the lookalikes contest on the screen had a CHGO shirt on.
Yeah, we didn't see it. We left after the second intermission because we were sick of this team. No, but because we come back and do the show. But yeah, Kevin Kadick was there with his daughter at the game. Said that someone they do the lookalikes was wearing a CHGO shirt, so that's pretty cool.
So this is something we need to see more CHGO shirts at Hawks games.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start carrying around like bumper stickers, Nux stickers, and if I see you, I'll give you one. I don't know, something like that. Yeah. Start rocking the CHGO stuff at Hawks games.
Had someone come up to me when I was doing my pregame walk through the atrium and said, "Hey, I love the show. Love everything you guys are doing." And I said, "Thank you very much," and forgot to get the guy's name. But if you said hi to me today, shout out.
Way to go.
Yeah.
All right, let's go out to Greg at the United Center. Again, that's store.allcitynetwork.com, by the way, to take advantage of those sales. Well, we played Alex Vlasic, Greg, and we heard basically the same story we've heard all season. What do you, anything Luke said that was out of the ordinary?
Well, he essentially said that they discussed yesterday and they discussed this morning that the Columbus Blue Jackets are a team that loves to score off the rush. They love to create odd man rushes, and we can't allow them to do that. And then they spent the whole afternoon allowing them to do that.
That sounds like not a winning strategy.
No, doing the exact opposite of what is the game plan has been implemented is not a good recipe for long-term success. That is for sure. This was a game where you saw the Blackhawks' current lack of speed is just it can't match up to a team like the Blue Jackets. They were getting skated circles around all day. And the bad news is this is what it is for the rest of the season, most likely. The good news is there's a lot of speed coming in the future. A lot of it is playing a lot better than the Blackhawks are today over in Rosemont against the Wolves. So, we've seen why Kyle Davison has drafted speed. These last few drafts, because you got to have it. And the Blue Jackets showed why. They're a team that in a very similar situation to the Hawks, and they seem to be progressing a little quicker than the Blackhawks are right now. But we'll see how that goes as we go down the road.
Well, if people want to know, with 7.5 left in the third, the Ice Hawks lead the Wolves 4-3. Savoie Mayhew, Korchinski, and Levshinov with goals. What is wrong with Frank Nazar? Why is he slumping? Why has he not scored in this game? Mike Cullum.
He has an assist.
Not enough. I needed 2 Frank Nazar goals per night. And where's Colton Dot?
Send him to the ECHL. Send him to the ECHL.
Go back to college.
I know you've got your theory we've been discussing all year that and I think this is a good theory by you. I'm not mocking it in any way. That Nazar will be up here by Christmas so they can move some Winter Classic Nazar jerseys. I think it just makes sense from a hockey standpoint too. If the marketing thing aside, you talk about the speed, you talk about the lack of scoring. I don't know. Of course, like if you're trying to get Frank Nazar to be the Patrice Bergeron of the AHL, that will take time and that will take development to really get his defensive game up with his offensive game. But can't you just live with the defensive lapses now and bring up some offense? Because this team desperately needs it. Despite scoring 3 power play goals today, nothing at 5-on-5. It's just beyond time.
Yeah, I agree. And I still think, if he has another 2 weeks where he's putting up, multiple points per game, you can't, you got to do something, marketing or not, regardless what the move is, you still need to do something. You need more speed. You need more offense. He provides both of that. For the most part, this team has been pretty good defensively this season as a whole. 6 goals. I think it's only the second time they've given up more than 5 goals this season. The other was that Vancouver game, and 2 of those were empty netters. But yeah, you get 3 power play goals and the other team gets 0. You need to win that game. You should win that game.
Just real quick, at even strength today, the Blackhawks had 3 high danger chances at 5-on-5 at even strength. Overall, 8. So 5 of their 8 high danger chances came on the power play, which is normal.
5 power plays, yeah,
of course, but
6,
including a 5-on-3 for almost a full 2 minutes.
Yeah, like 3 high danger chances generated in the entire game at even strength. That's not good enough. Yeah. It's not good enough.
Well,
and talk about the personnel, talk about the talent, all that stuff. Like, they've got enough to do more. That you should do 3 per period would be ideal, please.
You had 1 per period.
Yeah, good math.
Yeah, and I mean, you had
literally they had 1, and 1.
How many odd man rushes did you have without a shot on goal today? Like, that's when you're supposed to get your high danger chances. But instead, we have Teuvo Teravainen passing it backwards to nobody. We have people missing the net. What's working on the power play needs to transfer to 5-on-5. The power play scored 3 goals today by just getting the puck to the net, getting a body to the net. Simple. Even before they scored on that 5-on-3, I was super impressed by what they did. I was worried they were just going to skate around and stay around the perimeter and look for that perfect shot. But 2 guys went to the net, and Connor Bedard from below the dot just threw it towards the net, and it almost worked. They eventually scored later on that because Nick Foligno went right to the net, and they found him there. But I liked seeing that approach. Now we just need that approach on 5-on-5. Stop with the fancy extra pass, drop pass to nobody, get the puck in the zone, get some bodies to the net, and just get it there. Those are how most goals are scored. Look at how Columbus scored most of those goals. It was by getting the puck and shooting it. They had some traffic. Dante Fabro, who's got 3 goals now since Barry Trotz said, no, I don't want a young defenseman. Like, this is a totally different topic, but how does Barry Trotz have a job right now? I mean, that is just brutal what's going on there. But, they have to simplify this 5-on-5 attack because there's just no juice on it. Like, yeah, the Bedard line was pretty good 5-on-5 at maintaining offensive zone time for a change, but it was just not enough shots. It was a lot of skate around, pass it, have a shot block, get the shot back, and then shoot wide and go down to the other end of the ice. It's the same old stuff every game. These guys think they're the Edmonton Oilers, where they have all this dynamic play, or the Colorado Avalanche, that they have all these dynamic players, and they're not. They have to play to their own level.
Above water possession wise today, Bedard, Hall, and Kurashev had 7 shot attempts for, 6 against, and Reichel, Maroon, and Smith had 8 shot attempts for and 6 against. So that's it. Your Donato, Teravainen, Bertuzzi line was 6 for 8 against, and your Dickinson, Mikheyev, Foligno was 6 4 and 9 against. So it's you just need more from everybody. And before you jumped on, Mario was saying like, this team shouldn't be playing East and West. There's no way Luke Richardson is telling them that. And I said, there's no coach in the league telling their team to play East and West. Even the best, and we're going to see it from Toronto tomorrow, is North and South, traffic in front, pucks on net. I say it all the time because we've seen it twice recently. Look at Dallas. It is puck on net whenever possible. And they're pretty good last time I checked.
Yeah, they're decent.
Minnesota plays the same way. Get puck, shoot puck. Just shoot.
You shouldn't have to. Teams that play that way don't necessarily have to worry about sustaining offensive zone time because they're making the most of it. I mean, we talk about like Lucas Reichel needing to be elevated in the lineup and needing more minutes, but he's still producing on 12, 13 minutes a night. Teams that are successful with trying to, create offense through being shoot first, they don't need to worry about like how much zone time do we get to set up to the perfect play. They say, I have an open lane, I'm going to shoot, and it's either going to be a rebound or it's going to be blocked, or it might get blocked to a corner. You go and try and win another battle, or it goes in. Like I think you have to get to a point where it's like, yes, it's nice to get the offensive zone time and try and set it up, and like everyone touches the puck before a shot or whatever. But like at some point you have to just be like, all 5 of us are in the offensive zone. Let's try and get some offense generated. Start shooting. You can even create cycling opportunities to open up for that nice one-timer if you get 1 or 2 or 3 shots on net to put up the pressure. And it's crazy. Real hockey is not always going to mimic what the NHL video game has, but the NHL video game implemented that pressure system where you get more shots and you get more offensive zone time, and it puts the pressure on the defense and tires them out. That's because that actually happens. Like when you generate offense and you generate shots and you have zone time, it puts the pressure on the defense, puts them back on their heels, and the Blackhawks just seem to never have a team on their heels for maybe more than 1 or 2 times in a game, and you need to do that more often.
By the way, just real quick, I'm seeing some chatter in the chat, makes sense, that the rebuild is taking too long, it's taking forever. You're in like year 1.1 of the rebuild right now. The rebuild started last year, let's be real. Like with Bedard getting here and all the draft picks they've accrued, that was really the first. If you want to say this is year 2.1 of the rebuild, fine, but like really it started last season, so it's going to take longer than that.
I think there's a differentiation between the rebuild is taking too long because the players that you're investing in for the rebuild are not developing. That's one thing. The rebuild is quote unquote taking too long or unsuccessful because this season has been frustrating and underwhelming, but this season wasn't the turn the corner in the rebuild because all of the tools that you're using for the rebuild are ready to go. They're not.
Right.
Like if this team was like NHL ready Bedard and Nazar and Korchinski and Del Mastro and Drew Comezzo wasn't, like if all these guys were NHL ready to go, Colton Dock was up, like all that stuff. If all those players were here and it was like, yes, this is time to go, and they were dead last, then you're saying, what the hell is going on with this rebuild? All these guys that we were supposed to believe were the future have not panned out. That's when you have that. That's when it's worthy of like the meltdown of the rebuild has been a failure. This year is not at the NHL level. The results were not necessarily based on rebuild, but with them underperforming, with them being in last place, with the guys that you brought in not really pulling their weight, that's when you say like, all right, this phase of it is getting extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, and it also doesn't help when you get a player like Connor Bedard so early in the rebuild. and you don't have a lot for him to play with. We said when the Blackhawks won the draft lottery that, getting Bedard probably takes a year off the rebuild. It takes a year off the back end of the rebuild. There's still a lot of work to do, where you see other teams, you look back to the Dynasty era Hawks. They got Kane and Taves at the end of, they already had Brent Seabrook and Duncan Keith developed, and they had those young core of role players that would be so important. Your Troy Browers and your Brian Bickles and your Nicholas Jarmelson. Those guys were already 2-3 years into their pro career. So that was the tail end of it when they got those guys. And people will say, look at it looks like the Sharks are better than the Blackhawks right now in quicker amount of time. Their rebuild is 2 years prior to this, and they got Celebrini, in the middle part of their rebuild, where you have a guy like William Eklund, who is coming into his own this season, but it's taken him 3 years to get there. You add Will Smith to that, who's already been there for a year. Like, it's getting Bedard revved up a lot of expectations that this is going to be quicker. And it's getting him at the beginning of the rebuild is, it's great to have him, but it also, you still have to realize that it's going to be 3 or 4 years, as opposed to 4 or 5 years if you drafted Carlson or Fantilli instead.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people saying like the Hagel trade was the start of the rebuild, or the DeBrincat trade. That was the start of the teardown.
That was the teardown.
Yes,
in the grand scheme of
that's the declaration of rebuilding.
Yeah.
But in terms of rebuild seasons,
the build back up.
Yes, this is the second, maybe the third, but I would say the second. And you're right.
That first full season with Richardson was still a teardown season, because you're trading Patrick Kane, you're trading Max Domi that season, and then it was all to get Connor Bedard. So then once you get Connor Bedard, you kind of start building back upwards. This is going to be a long process, and but days like this are frustrating, and having to watch games like this repeatedly are very frustrating. And I get it. Blackhawk fans want to win every game, and that's awesome. But you kind of, on a day like today, you get angry because you see, you lose to the Blue Jackets 6-3 on your home ice. Pull back a little bit and just focus on like the big picture stuff. Focus on, the guys that are going to be important when this team is good. For the most part, they're all playing well. We talk about Nazar and Doc all the time. Korchinski and Levshunov are improving on a game-to-game basis. Look at what Nick Lardis is doing in the OHL. He's still 2-3 years away, but you have these guys. Guys like Ryan Green are having good years. You still have a guy like Ilya Safanov in Russia who could be a player in this when this is all said and done. So while you get frustrated on days like today, and it's 100% warranted and excellent, be mad because you want to see your team win, but just take a deep breath and pull back and realize that the long-term big picture of this franchise looks good. Is it guaranteed it's going to turn into more Stanley Cups? No, it's not. But there's a plan. There's some nice pieces, and they're taking their time developing them so they actually get here and perform. That they don't turn into Adam Boquist or Kirby Dach or Henry Jokiharju, where you have to get rid of them in a year because they're not superstars from day one.
Yeah, speaking I saw. Someone, I think it was Philip in the chat, said they're not improving. They're at the bottom of the league every year, but it's not about the NHL team. This is the first year where it was kind of about the NHL team, right? You want to be in more games, more competitive, and even though the record's not better, I will say they've certainly been more competitive this year
compared to last year. Yeah.
Yes, they're in games. They've given up 10 empty net goals, which means of their 14 losses, they've been in all of them for the most part.
Yeah.
So, that's different from last year. But kind of as Greg was saying, too, as you look at the players that will be here when it matters again, all of them have improved. Vlasic, Kaiser, even Reichel to an extent. You got 50-some points out of Khrushchev. He's having a down year this year.
Yeah. We
have to figure out what he's going to be. But Nazar's doing great in the AHL. Kevin Korchinski's looking better. Levshunov's looking better. We talked to Mark Bernard the other day during the intermission, and he's like, I feel good about everybody. And it was, an off the record conversation, and we weren't recording it. It wasn't an interview, just a conversation. But he's like, yeah, no, like we're very excited about everybody we've got down there. And in the past, he has told us about some people before. So he's usually honest with us. It's just, I just think that we're guilty of it too. Like we come on here 82 times a year and we're frustrated. And
it's because we're talking about the Blackhawks, not the Ice Hogs.
Exactly. But like zooming out, things are in good shape. And if you ask around hockey, you talk about prospect pools, you ask prospect analysts what they think of the Hawks, it's pretty much a thumbs up across the board.
Yeah, the way that this is trending is still in a positive direction for the rebuild.
And Lego 91 says, guys, we have the least amount of points in the NHL. LOL.
So what? Who cares?
Right. But it's not about
it's not about the points this year. Yes, you want more points than you have right now. Yes, you don't want to finish. We were told you can't finish in last place again. The expectations were raised, but in the grand scheme of things, this season is insignificant as long as these guys that are going to be important are developing and playing better. And for the most part, that has been the case. And they're not worse than they are last season. They're not getting the results. But if you think this team is as bad on the ice as it was last season, I don't know what you're watching.
It's more frustrating than it is this season because of the guys that are here in the NHL that are trying to, bring results at the NHL level. That's where the majority of the frustration is coming from, because on paper, this team I would say should not be in last place in the NHL. And they have been more competitive. It's just they're more competitive. They're in more games than they were last year at this point last year. And I foresee that being the consistency. They just don't have or haven't shown the ability to get over the hump of close games. They're always coming up short in close games. And whether they're down a goal or up a goal, it never seems like they've got what it takes to like get over the hump. And maybe that's personnel, maybe that's mentality, combination of both. But that is where the big, at least for me, and I would think safe to say for a lot of people, that is what the frustration is coming from. But but I think maybe for some people it's manifesting as seeping over into the thought of the rebuild being the problem. And it's the current makeup of the NHL team and a lot of guys that don't matter in the long term of the rebuild that are causing frustrations that are being, are happening in a year for an organization that's in a rebuild. But if you, again, as we've said before, if you're looking at the prospect pool and what's happening with the Ice Hogs, like those arrows are pointing up, and the Ice Hogs just closed out their game 6-3 win over the Chicago Wolves. Jerry Mayhew, who's not part of the rebuild or the future of the Blackhawks, had a hat trick, but longtime AHL veteran there.
Loves
but
him on Leave It to Beaver.
You had a goal from Samuel Savoie tonight. You had a 2-point night from Kevin Korchinski. Primary assist for Frank Nazar. You had a goal from Artem Levchinov. Secondary assist to Drew Comezzo, who gets the win tonight as well. Colton Dock had 2 assists. Like Frank Nazar is second in the AHL in rookie scoring. Colton Dock's second on the team in scoring, I think, at this point. Korchinski is starting to look better at the AHL level after kind of going through a lot of struggles as a 19-year-old defenseman would last year in the NHL. He's starting to get to that point of everyone clamoring, I wish he could play in the AHL this year. He's getting that opportunity now. He's making those progressions. He got a full year in the NHL to kind of learn what it takes to play at that league, and now he's working through a lot of the growing pains at the AHL level. Same thing's happening for another 19-year-old defenseman in Artem Levchinov. So if you're looking at like the guys that matter, the guys that are going to be part of that next generation of successful hockey in the NHL, they're trending in the right direction, and they're doing it at ages 19 and 20 and 21. Like
Yeah.
Like let's wait for these guys to be all legal drinking age in the U.S. to have a chance to get to the NHL and see where we're at that point.
A couple comments in the chat, just real quick. BJD said, yeah, but, Kyle Davidson said it has to be better this year, and the finishing last wasn't acceptable. And I think that's when he makes his decision on Luke Richardson at the end of the year. If that's still where they are, that's going to weigh heavily.
Oh, yeah.
Because he did set that expectation, and Reven kind of follows up with that, saying the reason it's so frustrating is because we were told that it was supposed to be better.
Agreed.
Yep.
100%.
I totally agree
the
with
NHL
that.
product has not lived up to expectations, and that's extremely frustrating. And that the first half of the show and part of what with Greg, that's where we're airing those frustrations. But it's different than what the rebuild is supposed to be.
Right. And that's, I got told
That's where I'm just
I
trying
got
to
told
clarify
on
it.
social media today that our show has become too negative.
Oh,
it's like,
no.
well, this is the last 2 years. There was no expectation at the NHL level. It was about being as bad as possible. This year, that was not the plan. So our analysis is going to change based on the expectation of the team. This team is underachieving.
Yeah.
I don't care. You can roll your eyes and say this roster isn't good and it's exactly what they should be. This is not the worst roster in the league. It's absolutely not. So, all right, we got to pay off our segments. We got a $5 super chat from Lebowski, who says, I like the idea of drafting Schaefer, trading Korchinski, and trading for McTavish. Is that too drastic? Could be one of the best all-around D-men in the NHL.
Nope.
No more defensemen in the first round. Enough.
Nope. If you're going to have the number one pick, I want either Michael Misa or James Higgins. Get me a center that can do everything, or a big center that can score. Michael Misa's there. He's a point goal per game in the OHL.
Yep. All right. We've got to get to these segments. Let's do the 4-star of the game first. Sorry, Nate. The winner of the 4-star is
Craig Smith.
Greg Smith.
It was a nail-biter. It was like 44 to 42 or
right.
43.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Between him and who?
Donato.
Donato. Okay. Donato had a really good game.
Yeah, Craig Smith had a goal and 5 shots on goal. He was very good today.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it.
And provided some lulls with him and Elvis.
He did.
Merzlikins.
Elvis Merzlikins providing the lulls 100%.
That was good.
And the 4-star of the game. I don't care because it wasn't me.
Nope.
Or the
Who's your
Hawk.
Jay.
Wasn't me. It doesn't matter.
Two minuses in a row.
Yeah, I got to stop trusting the good there.
Boy.
Yeah, I'm almost caught you. I would have won if Connor Bedard wasn't a freaking -4. Play some defense. Jesus. I'm glad you got your offense figured out. Stop giving up goals when you're on the ice.
I would have won if Tyler Bertuzzi scored 3 goals.
Well, I did win. Big night for Craig Smith. Who's your Hawk winner and 4-star winner?
He's earned it.
If only I could talk about Wisconsin on this show.
I was waiting. When are you going to mention he's a Badger? Yada, yada, yada.
Stop dressing all Wisconsin, by the way, Mario.
Wait until you see the CHGO merch that's on sale right now at store.allcitynetwork.com and try and stop me from dressing like a Wisconsinite on
if you wear
CHGO branded merch.
If you wear it after every Wisconsin football game, we'll never see it. If you wear it after every Wisconsin football win, we'll never see that shirt.
You can't hurt me, Greg. I'm already dead.
Don't cry for me. I'm already dead. All right. Any nuggets or tidbits?
Yes, I think this is a good point with all the talk we've had here since I've been on. That Pigs and Puck will be out tomorrow morning for diehards only, where I update you on all things Rockford. And just talking about this, sum up this roster we're seeing right now. Yes, they're over or underachieving greatly. Not a lot of finish on this team. I don't know how many times you get a prime scoring chance and you miss the net. You shoot it right into the defenseman. How many times do we see they finally get a good breakout and then they pass it to the back heel of the skater in the neutral zone and it goes back? Like, it's just these little things that just keep mounting up. Or even today, a perfect summary of the Blackhawks season. In the third period, Connor Bedard's about to get to a puck lying in the crease. Why? Nobody's anywhere near it, and the ref loses track of it and blows the play dead. That would have been an easy goal there, which would have had me win. Who's your Hawk? But I'm not bitter. But those are the things. It's these little things that just that have snowballed, and now they can't get under it because they're underachieving. And we saw it here today. We'll probably see it tomorrow in Toronto. But Arvid Soderblom is going to play against the Maple Leafs because Petr Mrázek needs a well-earned day off, and Soderblom will goalie the Maple Leafs right out of Maple Leaf Gardens.
Guaranteed win with Soderblom in net.
And a good
Toronto.
opponent.
Yeah.
That's how they play.
He owns the Maple Leafs. Those were the only 2 wins he had all season last year.
Yeah. I'm at the point where I want to start rotating him in a little more, though. Like, he's played really well.
I wouldn't be against it.
I feel like this one you saw Mrázek look a little bit tired.
And
the last 2 games, definitely today, the Minnesota game, that game-winning goal is a goal that no goalie should allow, especially Mrázek. So he's been great. He's been fantastic. But, yeah, definitely needs a day off. So if Soderblom starts against Toronto, that means he won't play until Wednesday. Mrázek, or I say if Soderblom has a great game, a shutout or only gives up 1 or 2 goals and the Hawks win, throw him out there against the Bruins as well. Bruins can't score to save their lives, so put him out there.
And we know Brossoit is not going to be around till after the New Year's, so if you're worried about the whole waivers thing, there's no getting around it now. Like, you're going to have to play Soderblom more, so might as well do it.
Yep. All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow night, 6 o'clock pregame and postgame after Hawks and Leafs. Should be a good time. I hope.
Sounds good.
I think. We'll talk to you then. Thanks, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button for us, and make sure you are subscribed, all that good stuff, to our YouTube page. And if you're listening on the podcast, do that too. Don't forget Black Friday sale, store.allcitynetwork.com. 30% off everything, up to 75% off all sale items. And maybe a little something extra coming tomorrow. I don't know. Something to keep an eye on. So that's called a tease, mister.
Keep an eye out for more ways to save.
100%. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow at 6. Hawks Leafs pregame on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.